Begin the current Daf Masechtas Beruchas Daf Beis. We begin 2 lines down from the top of the Yomid, where we first do a quick review of Daf Aleph. We spoke about asparagus, which is a certain medicinal drink that they would have, and we mentioned it because we're really speaking about 4 things in the previous Daf, regarding bread, regarding biza oichen. So we spoke about 6 things that relate to this drink of asparagus, which led us into a discussion about other things, 3 things that this angel told me, 3 things the angel of death told me, and then 10 things as it relates to kishal bracha, which each one of those are very important halachas, even halacha lamaisa, washing the inside, the outside of the cup, that it should be fresh wine, it should be full to the top of the cup. You should put on a hat when you're taking the kishal bracha. You should lift it up with both hands, put it into the right hand, lift it up a tefach, and you should be looking at it, and you should send it to your wife. We spoke about also you shouldn't talk when you're holding kosher bracha, and then we finished the 7th parak, and we began the 8th parak, which is going to be the topic of our daf, explaining the opening Mishnah, which are 8 different machlekes between Bisham and Bishil. So it's important anyways to go through them because it's going to be the topics of our daf. The 8 machlekes regarding the halachas of Suda, Bisham, Bishil was regarding what's first. Do you say Mekadosh HaShabbos first, or do you make the bracha on the cup of wine? And we explained that in the previous daf on the top of this amid regarding this machlekes. Then the machlekes that we're going to start off on our daf is regarding before the Suda in Talmudic times they would have a cup of wine. What do you do first? Do you wash your hands first, or do you drink that cup of wine first? Which seemingly, what's the difference? We'll see in our Gemara that that's a machlekes b'sham misil. When you wash your hands and you dry your hands on the towel, what do you do with the towel? Do you put it on the table or do you put it on the couch? Do you first clean up the table and then you wash ma'amar chayim, or do you do ma'amar chayim and then clean up the table? Machlekes number 5 was regarding if you have 1 cup of wine from Motzei Shabbos, so you have to make Havdalah, but you also have to have on your meal that you're eating at night. So you're going to put it together in one. The question is, what's the order? Do you first make, in the order, everyone agrees, at least in the version of our Mishnah, that there's 4 brachas to make. There's the candle, there's the besamim, there's the Beruchas Daf, and there's Havdalah. So in our Mishnah, everyone agrees that the first thing is the candle, the last thing is the bracha of Havdalah, Mavdim Mekayt Shel Chayil, which the Havdalah is Mo'er Esh, and then you end of question is the middle 2 is Machlekes B'Sham Misil. Do you first do the Beruchas Hamazon and then Besam, or you do Besam and then the Beruchas Hamazon? Then we had a Machlekes number 6 is do you say Shabar Ma'or Ha'esh, or like Basil says, which is Armenic, Bar Ma'or Ha'esh. And then we got into discussion regarding what type of candles you could use in Besam. You can't use of a non-Jew, or that's for a dead person, or of a Vedazar, and you also have to have some benefit from the candle. Then we spoke Machlekes number 7 was regarding someone made a mistake and he didn't make Beruchas Hamazon. Now he's already by his neighbor, he's already somewhere far down. Machlekes B'Sham Misil, do you have to go back to your place, or you could bench in the place where you recall? And Machlekes number 8 was regarding if you have a cup of wine at the end of the meal, do you have to wait to bench and then so you can make it on the kosher bracha and then drink the cup of wine? Well, like B'Sham says, no, you could drink the cup of wine and then bench. That was Machlekes number 8. And in the Gemara we discussed the first Machlekes regarding do you say Kiddush first and then the cup of wine, or wine and then the Kiddush? That was Machlekes B'Sham Misil. B'Sham says first you say the Mekadosh HaShabbos because it's the day that's causing the wine to make a bracha on the wine. And also what happened first? Shabbos came in first, which is the Kiddush Shabbos, and then the wine. Basil said no. What's causing you to be able to say Kiddush is the cup of wine. If you don't have a cup of wine, you can't say Kiddush, so you say the wine first. And also, which one's more common is the Beruchas Hayayin, you make every single day, versus Shabbos only once a week. And therefore, we said that you'll say on that. And the Brisa says halachas like Basil, because either it's before the Baskal, or it's like Rabbi Shua who doesn't care about a Baskal. And then we have to tell halachas like Basil. Some ideas we're going to be speaking about today's Daf, on Daf Beis. We're going to continue first in the first machlekes of our Mishnah, that Bishamai's opinion was that you first make Mekadosh HaShabbos or Mekadosh Yisrael Bazmanim, that of the sanctity of the day, and then you say the bracha of the wine. The Gemara is going to introduce a brisa, which the Gemara is going to first have a discussion to prove to you that it's Beishamai, and then from that brisa is going to be a difficulty where you see that he actually says the bracha on the wine before the sanctity of the day, and the Gemara is going to make a difference between Kiddush and Havdalah. Then, parenthetical, the Gemara is going to get into discussion regarding do you actually require, according to Bishamai, a koshel bracha for Beruchas Hamazon or not. The Gemara is going to say it's a machlekes tanoim. Then we're going to go on to the next machlekes in the Mishnah regarding which one's first, the wine or netilas yadayim. And the Gemara and many different of the machlekes are going to tell us, okay, what's the fundamental principle that they're disagreeing about? And there's a lot of halachas of Tumah Tara. We're not going to talk about it in the introduction, but as we get to the Gemara, we'll talk about how the halachas of Tumah come up, where there's an avatoma, which is there's a dead person, avia voice is considered grandfather of a tuma. A dead sheretz, or someone that touched a dead person, is considered an avatoma. And every time it transmits, it goes lower and lower and lower, and depends for what it is. For chulin, could only become at most a sheni. And then you have truma could become a shlishi, kachim could become a revi. Meaning, how far along can it still transmit? Once it gets to a certain point, it's not going to continue transmitting the tuma. But if, let's say, a dead sheretz touches a kli, the kli is going to become a rishon, and then so on and so forth, a kli and the person cannot become a sheni. But we'll explain it as we go along. Then that first machlekes regarding which one is first, wine until Zidayim, the foundational idea of the machlekes is going to be, are you allowed to use a kli that became tamei on the outside from mashkin? So there's a lot of different variables. This is, like we said, probably the most difficult daf in brachas regarding the cheshbon and also regarding its unique laws that apply to tum and tahara. Then we're going to speak about the next machlekes regarding putting the towel on the table or the keses, which is the cushion of the couch. Again, the foundation of the machlekes is going to be, are you allowed to use a table that's a sheni l'tumah? I mean, the table became tummy from something that's a rishon. Now the table is a sheni. Are you allowed to use such a table? That's going to be the foundation regarding the different opinions where you're going to put the towel. And the next machlekes, which is, do you clean up the table first, or my machreinim, is going to be about, are you allowed to use a waiter that's an amma aretz? That's going to be considered regarding if the food is going to be left on the table. It's the size of a kazayas. It's going to get ruined if you're washing my machreinim on the table. A Talmud Chacham knows that he's going to take it off before my machreinim amma aretz. It's not going to know, and therefore that's going to be the start of the machlekes. Then we explain their machlekes regarding the order of the Havdalah, that although we said in the Mishnah everyone agrees one version, but in the Brisa is going to actually quote the machlekes a different way, and we actually rule like Beis Hillel as it's brought in the Brisa. And we discussed the machlekes ma'ore ma'ore, if there's one light or there's many lights in a candle. And then the Gemara concludes regarding the discussion of the Isser that's mentioned in the Mishnah regarding using a candle of a non-Jew. What's the reason why you can't use a light from a non-Jew to make a bar mar'esh? Because it wasn't Shabbos from the Issa Malacha. A guy did the Malacha with it on Shabbos, and that's not allowed to be done on Shabbos. So our shiur is co-sponsored by Daf Yomi, Kal Zechron Yecheskel, and Torah Anytime. So we begin, as we said, on the top of Beis and Aleph, 2 lines up at the bottom from the top of the Yomit, 2 lines down from the top of the Yomit. And the Gemara asked the following question. We just had said from the previous Daf that the machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding what comes first, Kiddush Hayoim or the bracha on the yain. And says the Gemara, which we had mentioned previously, Besavi Beis Shammai, is that really true that Beis Shammai hold the Beruchas Hayom Adifa? That the bracha on the day, the sanctity, as we brought 2 reasons that Beis Shammai said in the Brisa, that you first make Mekadesh HaShabbos and then you say Bai Pri HaGafin? But Vatanya, there's a contradiction from the following Brisa. Brisa says, Hanichnas Lebeisa B'Matzah Shabbos. Okay, somebody comes home, Matzah Shabbos. Comes a Ma'ariv after davening. So what's the order that he does? Says the Brisa as follows. First, Mevarach Al Yain. Makes the Bai Pri HaGafin. Then V'al Ma'ar, then he makes the Bai Mar'esh. Then V'al B'samim, then he makes the Bai Min B'samim. V'achikach Hamavdal, and then he ends off, Hamavdal Ben Kodesh L'cha. Now, B'mein Lo Elo Kais Echad. Let's say he has only 1 cup of wine, which we mentioned this idea in the Mishnah already. So what do you do? Because if you're going to make Havdalah, you're not going to have a cup of wine when you're going to bench later on, when you're eating your meal. So manich lach hamazon. Says the Brayos, okay, eat before Havdalah, which Taisa discusses that obviously that there is such an idea that you could eat before Havdalah. Although there's a Gemara elsewhere that says you're not supposed to eat before Havdalah, it's only if, let's say, you either he was stringent on himself or he knows he's going to get the following day. But this price is going with that assumption that you could eat before Havdalah if that's the only cup of wine that you have. Now, what do you do now? Mishalshlin kulan. The word mishalshlin likes that word of a chain. In other words, you organize all the brachas la'achrav after the bracha of birchas hamazon. So, mean to say, when you're making the whole Havdalah on the cup of wine that you're making after the birchas hamazon, you're going to make birchas hamazon, and then you're going to go in the order, which is like the Brisa said: first the Bai Pri HaGafin, then the Ma'aresh, then the Besamim, and then Havdalah. But one thing is, from the reish of this Brisa, you see, forget about the fact of, let's say, when you only have 1 cup of wine. Let's say you have 10 cups of wine. So you come in, what do you do when you come in Matzah Shabbos? When you make Havdalah, what's the order? First you make a Bai Pri HaGafin. And when do you make Havdalah? All the way at the end. Well, Havdalah is the Kedushas Hayom. Kiddush and Havdalah is essentially the same thing. Kiddush is the beginning of it, and Havdalah is the end of it. And they're the sanctity of Shabbos. How you told me Beis Shammai holds that Kiddush Hayom is Adif. So shouldn't you first make Havdalah and then end up with Bai Pri HaGafin? So the Gemara says, wait a second, what's your question? V'hami mai de Beis Shammai. Who said this price like Beis Shammai? De Beis Hillel. It's Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel holds first you make Bai Pri HaGafin and then you make Kiddush Hayom. Says the Gemara, no, lo yisakadatich. You can't entertain that, and therefore we're asking it as a question. Why? How do you know it's Beis Shammai? Because the Brisa said, forget about the bracha on the wine. What did it say after the bracha of Bai Pri HaGafin? It says ma'or, you make the Bai Ma'esh, v'achkach b'sam, and then you make the Bai Min B'sam. Who is it that told us this logic that first you make a Bai Ma'esh and then a Bai Min B'samim? It's Beis Shammai. We know this Brisa is Beis Shammai because of a different element. That first comes ba'or and then comes the B'samim. How do we know Beis Shammai says? It doesn't like learn the Brisa. Rabbi Yehudi says, He says there's no disagreement between Beisham and Beisil ala mazon. Regarding the Beruchas hamazon, the food, when you bench, if you're doing it on one cup, Shabbat that's the first thing you're going to say. So you're not making Havdalah yet because you want to eat your meal and have the Koshel Bracha. So you're going to eat your meal, and when you finish the meal, you're doing both benching and Havdalah together. The first thing everyone agrees, says Rabbi Yehuda, Beisham and Beisil both agree that you're going to first make the Beruchas hamazon. Then they also agree about Havdalah regarding Hamavda Mekadosh Lachal. She B'Sayf, that's the last bracha. What's their dispute? Allah Ma'or Val B'Samim regarding the Havdalah candle and regarding the B'Samim. Beishamim, they say Ma'or. First you make the Bar Ma'esh, V'achkech B'Samim, and then you make the Bar B'Samim. Ubeisilahim, they say B'Samim V'achkech Ma'or. That first you make the Bar B'Samim and then you make the Bar Ma'esh. So obviously, that Beishami holds that first you make the Havdalah candle and then you do the B'Samim. So this brisa that told us that first you make the Bar Ma'esh and then the B'Samim, obviously is going like Beishamai, because Beisil holds it's the other order. And still we learn in this brisa that it says, when you have to make Havdalah, you first make the bracha on the yain, you make a bar paragaf, and then only at the end you make a bar ma'esh. So that's the difficulty. You see it's Beishamai, because Beishamai holds the orders ma'or than B'Samim, and you see that yain's coming before Havdalah, that contradicts the concept we said in our Mishnah. So the Gemara still asks, wait a second, who said this brisa is like Beishamai? And therefore you have a question. Because you're saying it's Valib Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Yehuda in the Brisa that proved it's Beishamai because of the order of that it's Ma'or and then B'Samim. So we see it's Beishamai, and therefore we have a question. Dilma maybe Beisilhi. Wait a second. Maybe this Brisa is Beisil. Valib Remeir. Who's Remeir? Remeir is the same version that we have in our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, Beisil said, what's the order? First comes Ner, which is the Havdalah candle, and then comes B'Samim. As the Gemara in Amud Beis is going to say, the Tana of our Mishnah, which is in dispute with the version of Rabbi Yehuda's Machlokes Beisham Beisil, is the version of our Mishnah. So if it could be like Beisil, because Beisil holds, you say Ma'or and then B'Samim. You first say the bracha on the Ner, then B'Samim. So it could be Beisil. And if it's Beisil, then it makes sense. Beisil holds you first say the Kiddush on the Yain, and then the Kiddush on the Yain. What's this big question you have? It's not Beishamai. So the Gemara, no, you cannot entertain to say that this brisa that we started off the daf with is like the version of our Mishnah to say that it's like Beisil. Why not? Because the Ketani Hacham Masnidin, in our Mishnah we learned that the version of the Machlokes Beisham Beisil, when there's Birchas Hamazon, when you're doing it together with benching, the Koshel Bracha, the version of our Mishnah, which Remeir's version, said it like this. Beisham, they say, okay, what do? Ner, first Havdalah candle, then Umazon, then Birchas Hamazon, then B'Samim, then Havdalah. Ubeisilahim, they say no. Ner u'B'Samim, Mazon v'Havdalah. One thing you see from both versions, that the Mishnah tells us that the Birchas Hamazon is going to be in the middle. Right? According to Beisham Beisil, you just saw the way the Mishnah quotes it, is that, okay, the Machlokes is regarding some of the elements, between which one's first, B'Samim or Mazon, but the Ner is first, and Mazon is in the middle. But Vahasim B'Brayse Ketani, in the first Brayse we start off the daf with, it said, he has only one cup, meaning you're doing Birchas Hamazon together with the Havdalah. What's the halacha? Manichel achar Mazon, so you leave it till after you finish eating. Umeshashon kul nachrab, and you do all the other brachas of Havdalah after Birchas Hamazon. That's like Rabbi Yehuda's version that he said, as we just quoted Brayse before. He says, what's the first thing you say when you have all these different brachas to make? You make Birchas Hamazon first. So it can't be like Remeir's version, because you can't say it's Beis Hill according to Remeir's version of our Mishnah. Because if that would be the case, then Mazon would be in the middle, it wouldn't be the first. So obviously it's going like Rabbi Yehuda, and it's telling us that first you do Bar Ma'esh and then B'Samim. In Rabbi Yehuda's version, who says Havdalah is the Havdalah candle is before the B'Samim? Shmami, no, you can infer from this is all leading up to the Gemara's question. The Beis Shammai, obviously, it's going like Beis Shammai, who says first you do Ma'or, the candle, before you do the B'Samim. V'alibet Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda's version. And how do we know it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda's version? Because Rabbi Yehuda's version holds that first you make the Birchas Hamazon. It can't be Beis Hill according to our version of our Mishnah, because our Mishnah says Birchas Hamazon is in the middle, it's not the first. So therefore the Gemara says, okay, they went back to the question. If it's like Beis Shammai, like Rabbi Yehuda's version, you see the first bracha you're making is the bracha on the wine before Havdalah, but according to Beis Shammai it's exactly the opposite. That's the question. This is all a lead up to just prove that the brayse is like Beis Shammai. And if it's like Beis Shammai, we're back to the question. You told me the bracha on the yain comes before the yain. Here you're doing the yain before the yain. Says the Gemara, it's not a difficulty. Why not? Kasavi Beis Shammai held, Shani iyula yaim. There's a difference between the bringing in of the day, meaning when you make Kiddush is sanctifying the day, me'afuka yaim, from bringing out the day, which is Havdalah. Havdalah is bringing out the day. What's the difference? Iyula yaim, when you bring in the day, and this is actually the halacha, kama de makadminale, as early as you could bring it in, if it's better. So therefore, when you're making Kiddush, yes, you're going to say Mekadosh Shabbos first because we want to sanctify the Shabbos. Afuka Yoma, when you're taking out the day which is Havdalah, and this is actually the halacha too, we have this by Ner Chanukah, we have this by many different things, Kama de Macharinanle, as much as you could delay it, if it's going to be better. So therefore it's not a contradiction, because yes, by Havdalah, you're going to make the Kiddush on the, you're going to make the Bayir Paragrafen before you make the Havdalah Kihichadul Lahaval on Kamasa, that it shouldn't look like the Shabbos is a load on us, and that's what's famous in the Zmiris, Hama'achrim Latzis Min Shabbos, meaning as much as we can make it earlier, we'll make it Kaddish Shabbos first. But ending with Havdalah, yes, that will be as we open up the price of this daf, even according to Beishamai, we're going to make the Bracha Bayir Paragrafen first, and end with Havdalah, because we want to delay Shabbos as much as possible. So now the Gemara continues, and asks, once we introduced this brisa, which we just explained is going like Beishamai. So we went through that whole effort to show you it's Beishamai, to ask the contradiction. We answered the contradiction. But now, parenthetical, the Gemara has the following question. Wait a second. You tell me the brisa we quoted that we start off the daf is Beishamai? Besavi Beishamai, does Beishamai hold Beruchas Daf and two nekais? This brisa says when you have 1 cup of wine, when you're coming home Matzah Shabbos, what do? So it says, okay, leave the wine till after you finish eating. Then you pull it all together, and then you'll do whatever the order the brisa says. But you tell me it's Beishamai. But Vatnan, we learn in our Mishnah that we start off this parak that says Bal Hem Yayin, a regular day of the year, without Kiddush, because if you had on the Shabbos, you would have Kiddush before the Suda. But our Mishnah says if you get wine, La'achar Mazon, at the end of the meal, meaning, and you didn't have wine in the middle of the meal. So when they're finishing the meal, and they didn't bench yet, so the Mishnah said, if that's the only cup of wine that you have, Beishamai, they say, you know what? Go ahead, make the bracha on the wine. Then go ahead and make birchas hamazon. My love, isn't it obvious? The person is going to make the bracha on the cup of wine. V'shaselen is going to drink it. So Beishamai is essentially saying, if you want to, you can make a bracha on the wine and you could drink it. What do you mean? But that's the 1 cup of wine you have. You're about to bench. Obviously, Beishamai holds you don't have to have a cup of a kosher bracha of birchas hamazon. But wait a second. You just told me that this brisa that we start off with is Beishamai. The brisa says if you have only 1 cup of wine, leave it for after you finish eating, and don't even make Havdalah. Eat before Havdalah so you can have the kosher bracha. But Beishamai says in our Mishnah that you don't need a kosher bracha. It says you could go ahead and drink it right before benching. So that's a contradiction. Beishamai says, no, it's not a contradiction. Why not? It's talking about the yeah. Like our Mishnah says, Beishamai says you can make a bracha. Umanachlei. Beishamai is only saying you can make a bracha on it before Beruchas Daf, but you're not going to drink from it. You're going to leave it till after you bench. Says the Gemara, but what do you say? But the Master says, and this is actually halacha, hamavarach, when you make the bracha, tzarich shiyitim, you have to taste it. How can you go ahead and make a bracha without drinking it? Says the Gemara, no, we're talking about that he'll taste of it. Says the Gemara, but wait a second. You tell me Beishamai, as our Bryce is saying, needs a kosher bracha of a Beruchas Daf. Our Mishnah says you can make a bracha before benching. No. He's going to leave it till after benching. He's just going to make a bracha. He can't just make a bracha. Oh, I'll taste from it. If he's tasting, but the Master says, Tama, if you taste from it, pagmai, you make it deficient for benching, for kiddush, for Havdalah. As the Gemara says in Avi B'sachim, Kafei Mebeis, you can't go ahead and drink from a cup because then it makes it deficient. Now, Taisa brings from the Rashbam that that's specifically for Kiddush and Havdalah, that it shouldn't be deficient. But if you just drink a cup of wine, even if you drink from it before, of course you can make a bracha. And even for Kiddush and Havdalah, we only said it if it's possible. But Taisa says if it's not possible, of course you're going to do it, but you're not supposed to. How can Beishamai say, if you need a kosher bracha to make benching on, Rabbi Yisai, you're going to need a cup, but how can you drink from it beforehand? You have to drink from it because you make a bracha. But if you're making a bracha and you're drinking, then you're making a pogum. It's deficient. You're not supposed to drink from a cup of wine that you use in a Kiddush. Says the Gemara, determinately biyadeh. That's actually the halacha also. That's not going to make a pogum. You pour off a little bit into your hand, you drink from your cup, from your hand, and then you drink, so you didn't make it pogum, and you have a kosher bracha. But says the Gemara, but you run into a different problem. The Master says kosher bracha when you have a cup that's used for a bracha like birchas hamazon, tzarich shiur, and that's the halacha too. It has to have a minimum measurement. But if you're pouring off from it, then you don't have the measurement anymore. So the Gemara, no, it's not difficult. The nafish leit tvei mishur, told me that it has more than the revius. And you pour it off a little bit, and you still have a revius. So you're able to drink from the cup of wine. Yes, Beishamai holds you need to have a kosher bracha. What do they say in that Mishnah that the 1 cup of wine you could drink beforehand? It's more than the revius. So if you're thirsty, bizdarshtik, you can pour off a little bit in your hand and drink from it. Says the Gemara, but how could you say that? But the Mishnah said, if there's only 1 cup you have, then you could drink from it. But then you're not going to have the shiur. So the Gemara, no, trailer have it. There wasn't enough for 2 cups. But there was more than 1 cup. So therefore, the Gemara answered the question. The Gemara says it's not difficult. Beishamai holds that you need to have a kosher bracha. But in our Mishnah, that said you're going to drink that 1 cup before, and it's talking about you had more than the revius. So Beishamai is just saying you could pour off a little bit and drink from your hand, and then you'll still have the kosher bracha. But the Gemara says, Vatan Reb Chiya taught in the Brisa explicitly. Beishamim, they say, Mevarach al yayin v'shoisehu. You can make the bracha on the wine and you could drink it all. And then you can make Beruchas Daf. So the Gemara says, Eli, you're right. Trei Tanoi believe the Beishamim. We must say that it's a machlekes Tanoi in the opinion of Beishamim. And that is, we have machlekes the Tana of our Mishnah and the Tana of the Brisa of Reb Chiya. The Brisa we just brought right this second of Reb Chiya, according to Beishamim, holds that no, Beruchas Daf does not need a cup. You could make the bracha in the cup of wine, you could drink it and finish it and then bench. But the Tana of the Brisa we brought before, that was Rabbi Huda according to Beishamim, that opened up our Dav, they hold that Beruchas Daf needs a kosher bracha. So it's a machlekes Tanaim according to Beishamim if you need to have a kosher bracha when you're making benching or not. So therefore it's not a contradiction, it's a machlekes Tanaim according to Beishamim.
It's not so much about the Beruchas Daf, right? There's Havdalah in that also. The Brisa is right that you need a kos. There's Havdalah there also. So maybe
no, it's saying if you have to make Havdalah, don't make Havdalah because you're not going to have the kosher bracha, and we need you to have a kosher bracha when you're making Beruchas Daf. So therefore, delay Havdalah and put it all together with Beruchas Daf. But you see that Beruchas Daf needs a kosher bracha. In our Mishnah,
there's no way that we can touch that into being that he needs a Havdalah, and therefore he said hold off and make it a kosher bracha.
No, Havdalah itself is like, make Havdalah. Why do you need to hold it off till after benching? Benching doesn't need a kosher bracha. Why would you put it together with benching? If anything, it's a problem of chavilas. But no, it's that you obviously see that Brisa holds that you need to have a kosher bracha of Beruchas Daf, whereas the Brisa of Reb Chiya holds you don't have to. You could drink it before. And so machlekes Tanaim according to Beishamim. Okay, here's where the fun starts. We had in the Mishnah the next machlekes Beishamim and v'chulu. So they had a machlekes regarding if you're going to wash your hands for the meal first, or if you're going to go ahead and drink the cup of wine. That in Talmudic times they would have a cup of wine before the Suda. Which one comes first? Now, again, as we mentioned in the introduction, there's an avi avoisa tuma, a dead person. When it goes one lower down, someone that touched a dead person or touched a dead sheretz, it's an avatuma. Somebody that touched that becomes a vlad, or it's called a rishon, which that could be matame, a food item or beverage, and make that into a sheni. A kli or a person, a vessel or a person could only become a rishon. It can become a sheni. A food item could become a sheni. Truma could become a shlishi. And kachim could become even a revi. Now, that's all according to biblical halacha. Halacha Meshmei Sinai. The Rabbanim made a gzeira. This is where we're going to see a lot of different rabbinic injunctions. If a sheni l'tumah touched a liquid, so what should it be? First of all, it shouldn't become tummy at all, because a liquid that's chulin cannot become a shlishi. The Rabbanim made it, and we'll explain the reason as we go in the Gemara, that sheni now becomes a rishon l'tumah. That's going to be very, very important halacha in our Gemara's discussions. Another important halacha is that stam yadayim, a person's hands, not his whole body, he could be tar. We assume his hand is a sheni l'tumah because since the hands touch, it's called yadayim askani. You're saying the hands are very busy. The Rabbanim gave it a rabbinic halacha as a sheni l'tumah. We're going to see that this is going to be very important because we just said that if a sheni touches a liquid, the liquid is going to become a rishon l'tumah, and a person's general hands become a sheni. And additionally, when you're eating a suda, your hands are not supposed to be tummy. That's why we're washing the tilas yadayim. Although, what's the difference? It's just chulin. There's different discussions. The Rishonim, one of the primary interpretations because of truma. Truma could become a shlishi. So if your hands are a sheni, you're going to make the truma invalid. So because of that, they made it for every Jewish person that when his hands, which we are assuming is a sheni, that you have to wash your hands before you come to eat a meal. And additionally, another important rabbinic injunction is that liquids that are tamei, although they're a rishon, but a keli could only become tamei from an avatama, could only become at most a rishon. In the halacha, a keli cannot become a sheni. But when a tamei liquid, that's, let's say, became a rishon even by touching a sheni, but even so, it cannot usually be matame a kli. Liquids that are tamei, when it touches the outside of a kli, it makes the kli tamei. Even though generally it cannot become tamei, rabbinically they made it tamei, and even then it's only the outside of the kli that became tamei, not the inside. We'll see as we go along.
Washing the hand is enough.
Yeah. You don't have to go in the mikveh because it's not really tamei, it's only rabbinic, and the Rabbanan said that washing your hands is enough to purify the hands from this rabbinic sheni.
But a regular person is a sheni l'tumah.
Yeah, a regular person has to go to mikveh, right? But here it's not a biblical tumah, it's a rabbinic tumah of stam yadayim. For that they gave it, because generally if your hands become tummy, it's your whole body becomes tummy. So when do you ever have a hand, just the hands becoming tummy?
Is the takuna helping us because you're making a takuna that the yadayim askonias, maybe they're shiny, and then I'm worried that you're going to be touching tumah. But if you're washing your hand, if you were really a sheni?
You're not really a sheni, that's what I'm saying. You're not really a sheni. If we knew that you're a sheni, then rabbinically a sheni, rabbinically. And rabbinically,
the whole rabbinical idea was in order to be careful for truma, But washing the hand did not solve any of the issue.
Right, if it was the biblical tumah, right? That's b'yad of shutaf b'mayim.
So why do I have to make it rabbinical tumah, because this is not changing anything anyway?
It is changing because it's mandating that you have to wash your hands.
Just for washing hands.
Right.
But if you are really a sheni, that's
Right,
not. So the
right.
whole chashash was if
Right.
you are a sheni, but you're not really a sheni, because
Right.
you only choishes you're being a sheni, and this is rabbinical, and
Right.
therefore washing the hands does it, so we didn't
Right,
really...
it's a good question. There's a Gemara elsewhere, I'm remembering a Rashi and Amud Bey, where they're very busy to say, what is this halacha of washing the hands? Is it a rabban? Is there a biblical source for this halacha? But yeah, it's a good question, and that's because it's not essential in the halacha of tumah. If we thought that you were, we actually would make it, but it's this rabbinic tumah that we give just to the hands, because we have gezeres rabbanan, that let's say we said a sefer is tummy. What is sefer becoming tummy? Because of a concern that the mice are going to be next to the svarm, so we didn't want people to put their truma over there, so they made a rabbinic tumah, and the rabbinic tumah they said is going to come off of washing hands, making the tilsidam. So here it goes. Within the brisa, we're going to explain the brises, elaborate on the opinions, and then we're going to explain the opinions. Beis Shammai, they say as follows. As we said in the Mishnah, they hold neit liyadayim. First you wash your hands, and then you pour the cup of wine and you drink it. Says Beis Shammai, why? If you say like Basil, that first you're going to pour the cup of wine and you're going to drink it. Gzeira, there's a concern. There's a decree. What's the problem? Shema yitmu mashkin, maybe the liquids that fall. What happens? You fill up a goblet with wine. What happens is that some of the wine, whenever you're drinking, some of the thing could spill on the outside of the cup, and maybe those liquids that spill on the outside of the cup are going to become tummy. Why are they going to become tummy? Machmas yadav. If you didn't wash your hands yet, your hands are a sheni l'tumah. It's going to make the liquids on the outside of the cup tummy. Why? We learned the Mishnah Masechtas part that says whatever invalidates when it means puzzle versus the word tummy, let's say in regards to truma, that means say it's making it into a shlishi. Tumah is something that it could continue transmitting. Puzzle is the wording that it makes this invalid, but it's not going to transmit it any further. Whatever makes truma into a shlishi, that means to say even a sheni, because truma could become a shlishi. So whatever makes truma into a shlishi, which would be even stam yadayim, because we say stam, we assume a person's hand is like in rabbinic law as a sheni. The Mishnah Masechtas Parah says that makes liquids into a rishon. So therefore, a person's stam yadayim, if he didn't wash them yet, could make a liquid into a rishon. Because just like it can make truma into a shlishi, the Rabbanan said that the same thing applies to a regular liquid. It's going to make the liquid into a rishon. If that's the case, when you're touching the goblet, if you didn't wash your hands yet, again, there's two things you could do now. You could either wash your hands or you could drink the cup. If you didn't wash your hands yet, your hands are tummy. It's a sheni. If you're drinking the cup, a little of the wine may spill on the outside of the cup. Those droplets are going to touch your hand. That's going to make those droplets tummy. It's going to make it into a rishon. Right? Everyone's with me so far? Because we said whatever would make truma into a shlishi will make the liquid also tummy into a tchila, into a rishon. If that's the case, the yachzru b'yitmu es hakais. Now, those droplets are going to make rabbinically the cup tummy, because a vessel actually cannot become tummy from even a rishon. A cup could only become tummy from an av and become a rishon. Biblically, a cup cannot become a sheni. But rabbinically, as we'll explain shortly, we'll explain where this rabbinic injunction came from. The kli could become tummy from a liquid that's a rishon. Now, as we're going to explain later on, Beis Shammai hold that you're not allowed to use a vessel, a cup, in a meal that the outside of the vessel is tummy. So since they hold, and we'll explain why that is, but for now we'll assume they hold that's a problem. You can't have a kli on the table that has its outside, the back part of it, tummy. If you're not going to wash your hands before you drink the cup of wine, you're going to make that problematic kli. Your hands are a sheni. It's touching the liquids that drip from the kli into a rishon. It's now making the kli into a kli that became tummy on the outside from liquid, and that's a tummy kli on the outside. You can't have such a kli on the table. But before we get into that discussion, the Gemara asks a more basic question. Why do you have to tell me this whole hishtalshlus, this whole evolution, that the liquids on the outside of the vessel will become tummy from the hands and then be metami the kli? Forget about the liquids. V'letami yadayim l'kais. The hands are a sheni. That will contaminate the cup directly. Why do you need the intermediary of the liquid? So the Gemara, no. Yadayim, the hands are shniyasein. They're secondary. they're second degree levels tama, what's called a sheni. Ve'ein sheni, you never have a second degree that's oisa shlishi that will make something like the cup into a shlishi b'chulin. We're talking about chulin, not talking about truma or kachim. You can't make something into a shlishi. Ella alidei mashkin. The only way you could ever have is through a liquid. Why? Because the liquids through the hands will become a rishon. Because like we said, that's something unique about liquids. Rabbinically, they made that when a sheni, which is what the hands are, touch a liquid, the liquid will become a rishon. Now that the liquid became a rishon, it's going to make the kli, which is also another rabbinic law, tamei from the tamei rishon liquids. Now, Rashi asks, what do you mean? Who cares that the liquids are going to become a rishon? And this is where we're going to explain that halacha. But a kli, which is the goblet, the cup, cannot become makabel tama from a rishon. It could only become a rishon itself, which means that it has to be from an avatama. So how does it help that, okay, the mashkin could become a rishon from the yadayim with the sheni? Who cares? It's only a rishon. A kli could only become a rishon from an av. So now Rashi explains that's according to biblical law. But the Rabbanan made a gezerah that every liquid that's a rishon will be metame a kli. Why? It's a gezerah. What's the gezerah? It's a rishon. A kli cannot become a sheni. It's because there are certain types of liquids that are an avhatama, which could be metame a kli. What type of liquid is avhatama? When a zav or a zava have secretions from their body, like their spit or their urine, that's considered just like them. So just like they're an avatama, their secretions, their liquids are also an avatama. So because of the liquids of a zav and a zava, which are an avatama that could be metame a kli, the Rabbanan said every liquid, even a rishon, will be rabbinically metame a kli. So therefore, the Gemara says like this. We're not concerned for the hands touching the cup because the hand is a sheni. You can't make the cup into a shlishi by chulin. But we are concerned when the hand touches the droplets on the outside of the kli, it will make the liquid into a rishon. That's one rabbinic injunction that in general, Yadayim can make a liquid into a rishon. Then the rishon will be metame the kli. What do you mean? It's a rishon. A kli can only be kabel tama from an ab. There's a rabbinic halacha regarding liquids that it's metame a kli even when it's a rishon because of a case of when it's an avatama. And who cares that the kli is going to be okay? So the kli is tummy. What's the problem now? We're going to see later on. Beis Shammai hold you cannot have a kli that the outside is tummy. So to avoid that, that's why you have to have that you wash your hands first and then you fill up the cup and you drink it. That's Beis Shammai's opinion. Now we'll go to Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel, they say no. First, first you fill up the cup and you drink it, and then you go ahead and you wash your hands. Now in Tosefta, they bring similarly, which we're going to see, but that Beis Hillel says the back of the vessel could be tummy, and also they bring, as we're going to see later on, that there's another reason why they hold to their opinion that first you drink the cup and then you wash your hands, because right away after Netilas Dam you're supposed to have the meal. So essentially what Beis Hillel is saying to Beis Shammai right now at this point is, according to what you're concerned, I understand what you're saying, Beis Shammai. You're concerned that we don't want to have the tummy hands touching the back of the cup because it's going to be tummy the droplets, which is then tummy the cup. But says Beis Hillel, we're not concerned for your concern because you're allowed to initially have a kli that's tummy on the outside on the table, with the inside being tar and the outside being tummy, which is the case that you're describing, where the outside is going to become tummy because the liquids that became tummy because of the hands. Now, what is this case talking about that the inside is tar? We're going to see later on that there's a certain unique halacha when tummy liquids touch the outside of a kli, that only the outside of the kli become tummy, but the inside is tar. Says Beis Hillel, such a case you could have on the table. So therefore Beis Hillel says, yeah, go ahead and pour the cup of wine and drink it first before you even wash your hands. Because who cares that the kli is going to become tummy? We're not concerned. We don't care if you have a tummy kli. That's only the outside tummy. And moreover, they proved their point because if you would say like Beis Shammai, then that first you would wash your hands, that's a problem. To the contrary, we hold that's a problem. Why? Gezerah, it's a decree as follows. Shema, maybe that the outside of the kli, the cup, is going to become tummy. Like we said, according to Beis Hillel, you could have such a cup that the back is tummy. Again, it's all based on their foundations of what their dispute is. Beis Hillel holds you could have a cup that the outside is tummy. If that's the case, maybe if you're going to wash your hands first, so in the Netilas Yadayim, you didn't dry your hands totally all the way. So your hands are still going to be a little bit wet from the washing the hands. If that's the case, then Yitmu mashkin should be a dayim. Your hands are still a little bit wet from washing Netilas Yadayim, and you're going to drink the cup of wine now. Now, remember, the back of the cup, Beis Hillel holds, could be tummy. So you're going to be lifting up this cup of wine that you washed your hands already that are still wet. The liquids in your hand from your Netilas Yadayim are going to become tummy, Machmas hakois, because of the cup, that's going to make the liquid droplets in your hand into a rishon l'tumah, because the kli is a sheni. Your hands, now the liquid becomes a rishon, like we said, although it should go down to a shlishi or whatever, liquids cannot become tumah. No, we say rabbinically that when a sheni l'tumah touches a liquid, it makes it into a rishon. And then the yachzru v'yitmu es yadayim. And then the liquids that are a rishon are going to make the hands tumah into a sheni, which is what the problem always is regarding the hands when you come in to eat a meal. Comes that you're eating the meal with tumah hands, which is the classic sheni, and therefore that doesn't help. So you just voided your whole netilas yadayim by washing first and then touching the cup, because the cup is tummy, and that made the droplets, which then made your hands into a sheni. That's Beis Hillel's concern. That's their opinion. On that asked the Gemara, the same type of question it asked on Beis Shammai, asked the same type of a question. Why are you using the liquid as a medium at another step? Says the Gemara, why do you need the liquids in the hands to become tummy, to then be metame the hands, even if the hands are dry? V'netame kois liyadayim. Let the cup, which is a sheni l'tumah, directly contaminate the hands without the liquid in between. And actually, from that, as Rashi points out, it would actually be even more of a concern, because even though you're saying that the cup that he drinks before the meal, Beis Hillel is rectifying the situation by saying, okay, go ahead and drink it before you wash your hands. But based on the question that we're asking now, if it would be possible for the cup to be metame the yadayim directly, what do you do with the cups that come in the middle of the meal? Because even if it's dry, who cares? But the cup is tummy, it's going to make the hands tummy. What? No, that's what we're asking. What do you need the mashkin for? Let the cup that's a sheni l'tumah contaminate directly to the hands. Why are you saying that we're concerned what Beis Shammai says, to wash your hands first and then drink the cup? And therefore Beis Hillel says, no, first drink and then wash your hands, because if you wash your hands and they're going to be a little bit wet, the sheni l'tumah of the outside of the cup is going to make the mashkin into a rishon and then make your hand tummy. Forget about the mashkin. The cup is tummy. It's going to make your hands tummy. And that's even a bigger problem, because in the middle of the meal when your hands are dry, they're going to become tummy from the cup.
But the cause we said is not making it further appealing.
So that's the Gemara's answer.
Oh, okay.
The Gemara says, Ein kli, you don't have a vessel like this type of vessel that became tummy through liquids and became a sheni, that became a vlad hatumum. It cannot go ahead and be metame adam and contaminate a person, meaning to contaminate a person's hands. Why? This is actually machlekes in the Mishnah Masechtas Yadayim between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Shua, that regarding vessels that became tummy from a liquid, the Rabbanan hold that if a vessel became tummy from an ava tumah, so now the vessel became a rishon, which is biblical tumah that a vessel could become, so then it will contaminate hands that touch it, because it's a rishon making the hands into a sheni. But if the vessel became tummy through a vlada tumah from a rishon, and now it became a sheni, which I thought a kli cannot become a sheni. Oh no, there are rabbinic cases that it become a sheni. It cannot be metame the hands, because a sheni can't make a sheni; it has to go down a level. Now, Rashi points out, although actually we do find that a sefer, which is a sheni l'tumah, sefer Torah, could be metame the yadayim. How does that work? Then you say a sheni cannot make a sheni. That says Rashi, you can't learn one from the other. The laws of tumah ta'ara, the Gemara elsewhere says, you can't compare. It's halacha mesh mesina. But one thing is, therefore, the cups that come in the middle of the meal, when your hands are dry, it's not going to contaminate the hands. Now, Rashi says, although sometimes when you're in the middle of eating a meal, some of the liquid of the food that you're eating will spill on your hands, and your hands will be wet. You're going to touch the kli, which is a sheni. It's going to make the liquids into a rishon, and then you time your hands in the middle of the meal. Says Rashi, he says, no, those liquids are not considered, quote, mashkin. They're considered oichel. So although it's liquidy, but it's not considered a mashke, it's considered oichel, and there is not going to be a problem in the middle of the meal. And before the meal, you're going to take care of the problem, because you're going to drink before you wash your hands. So you're going to drink. We don't care what happens over there. You're going to wash your hands. You're going to start the meal. So you're never going to have the problem about the kli being a sheni l'tumah on your table, because who cares? Your hands are dry throughout the meal. And it's not going to be metame yadayim, because there's no moisture. The only way it can be metame is through the liquids that are on your hands. But you only wash after you drink that first cup, and during the meal your hands are not wet. And even when it's wet, it's considered a maichel and not a mashke. That's the machlekes between Misham and Beis Hillel. But the Gemara has a different question. According to Beis Hillel, that says you could have a kli that's a sheni l'tumah on its outside in the middle of the meal. But isn't the inside of the kli also tummy? If that's the case, it's going to make the liquids inside tummy, and you can't drink tummy liquids inside. The liquid, you remember, could become a rishon. It's going to become tummy. How are you doing? How are you having the mashke inside? So the Gemara, another unique halacha. Here we're talking about we're talking about specifically a metal vessel, because it was, let's say, an earthenware vessel. The earthenware vessel will not have the tumah we're about to say of becoming tummy only on the outside, because a kli cheres actually can never become tummy on the outside, even biblically. Kli cheres is only mitami megaboy from the imitoicha, not megaboy. So we're talking about a metal vessel. We're talking about how did this vessel become tummy in the first place? B'mashkin, by a liquid. A liquid touched the outside. Now, you never have a liquid that's not a rishon l'tumah, because even if the liquid touched a sheni, as we mentioned before, Chachamim made that liquid into a rishon. That's what askin, and that's what we're talking about. What type of kli are we talking about that it's tummy as a sheni? Is because this liquid that touched whatever it is, doesn't make a difference, that became a rishon, now touched the outside of the kli, making the kli into a sheni l'tumah. So what? So what do you do with the inside? The teichei tahar. Such a kli, actually, you never find such a thing. The inside of the kli is tar, but gabay tummy, the outside is tummy. Why? That's not like we learn the Mishnah Masechtas Kelim. The Mishnah says this exact case. It says kli shenit mu'achayiv b'mashkin. If you have a vessel that the outside became tummy from a liquid, so what's the halacha? Unique halacha. Achayrav tameim. The back, only the outside of the kli becomes tummy. Now, as we pointed out before, although biblically a person or a vessel biblically can only become tummy from an avatama, let's say from a dead sheretz, but not from a rishon. And here we're talking about a liquid. So how did this kli become tummy on the outside from this mashke? So we said before, the Rabbanan made a decree that liquids that are tummy could be mitame a kli, because we find that sometimes you could have a liquid that's an avatama, like we said, the secretions of a zav and their zava, their urine and their spit, which could be mitame other than kalim and not tyro. So therefore the Rabbanan would decree regarding any liquid that's tummy, that it will be mitame a kli. But again, it's rabbinic halacha. So therefore, as we continue to Beis, only the outside is going to be tummy. But toichei, the inside of the kli, v'ugnai, the lip, which is the part of the inside of the vessel that turns to the outside, which you can utilize when you're drinking, v'aznai, or the ear of the kli, or b'yadav, or the handle, tahayrin, they're going to be tar. Why? Because since this tumah, as we said, is only rabbinic, because again, biblically you can't even b'tami a kli from a rishon, from a liquid. But we said they made it because you could have a liquid that is an avatuma. So rabbinically we said even from a rishon it can be tumah, but it's only rabbinic tumah. So the Rabbanan wanted to make a differentiation that you should know that it's only rabbinic tumah. Why? Who cares? It's biblical rabbinic, it's tumah anyway. No, the difference is because regarding rabbinic tumah, we don't burn if it's truma or kachim. We don't burn it because you're not allowed to burn truma kachim, only if it's biblically tummy, but rabbinic you're not able to. So therefore they made certain leniencies, as the Gemara explains in Beruchas Daf Lamachas. So therefore they said that only the outside is going to be tummy, but the inside is not going to be tummy. Now that's only if it became tummy from the outside. But nitma taiche, if it became tummy from the inside, and actually nitma kuli, then actually the whole thing is going to be tummy. It's only on the outside that they made this decree that we're going to make this differentiation that only the outside is going to be tummy, but the inside is going to be tar. So therefore we don't have the question. The whole question we asked was, what are you gaining? The liquid inside the cup is going to become tummy. Say no, the liquid inside the cup is not going to become tummy, because only the outside becomes tummy, not the inside of the kli. Now the Gemara asked really a question that could have been really in the opening, and we would have understood a lot of things a little bit more clearer. The Gemara said, okay, but my commitment, what is the Yisrael HaMachlik? What's the foundation of the dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in this case? Says the Gemara as follows. Beis Shammai Sabri, they hold, asal l'shtamesh b'kli, you're not allowed to utilize a vessel, shenitmu achayiv b'mashkin, that the outside, which is the case we're describing, that the outside became tummy from a liquid. Why not? Why can't you have it on the table? We just described from Beis Hillel, there's no problems. No, it's a gezer, it's a concern. Mishum nitzaitzes, because although we described that, look, your hands are dry. The kli cannot be mitame your hands because there's no liquid on your hands. It's a sheni. A sheni cannot make your hands into a sheni. And there's no problem about liquids because your hands are dry, and even if it's liquid, it's not going to be liquid, it's going to be considered meichel. And inside is not tummy. So why does Beis Shammai say that you cannot have such a kli on your table? Is because of these droplets. What happens is, when you're drinking, some drops of the grape juice or the wine might spill on the outside of the kli. Oh, now you're in trouble. Because now those liquids that are on the outside of the kli is a sheni. It's going to make the liquids into a rishon, and then the liquids on the at a rishon are going to make your hands into a sheni. And you're not allowed to have hands that are sheni in the middle of the meal. That's why we wash them until it's done before the meal. So that's why, says Beis Shammai, we wash our hands first, so that if we didn't wash our hands first, it would make the hands that are sheni, the liquids, into a rishon and making the kli tummy, which then you're back to the whole problem about having a kli that's tummy. So therefore, it's not going to make the outside of the kli tummy from your hands because you washed them beforehand. Now, therefore, says the Gemara, what's with Beis Hillel's concern? Beis Hillel's concern was, what do you mean? If the outside of the kli is going to make the hands tummy, and therefore Beis Hillel said, first drink the cup of wine and then wash your hands, say Beis Shammai, no. There's no concern. You're not going to have any more the concern of that maybe the liquids in your hand are going to become tummy with a cup. And that's why, again, Beis Hillel said, first drink and then wash, because if you're going to wash then drink, Beis Hillel says, your hands are still wet and they become tummy from the outside of the kli, which is the sheni. We don't have that concern of Beis Hillel, because you're not allowed to use a kli that's tummy me'achayrav. It's not going to be on the table. So yes, wash your hands first, and the goblet's not going to make your wet hands tummy, because the goblet is not tummy, because you can't have such a kli on the table. Why can you have such a kli on the table? Because you would have sometimes the droplets that's going to spill on the outside that's going to have the problem in the middle of the meal. That's the opinion of Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel Savi, they hold, no, mutar l'shtamish b'kli, shenit macher b'mashkin. This is what starts everything off. They hold you're allowed to use a kli that the outside is tummy from a liquid, which makes only the outside into sheni. Why? Because they say, it's not so common that droplets will spill on the outside of the kli. So therefore, we don't have Beis Shammai's concern, because you're not going to have a middle of the meal spilling out. Now, therefore, for our concern, that's when you have the concern. Because then you have to be concerned, if we hold Beis Hillel that you could have a kli that's a sheni l'tuma, shenit machar b'mashkin on the table during the meal, so then maybe the liquids in your hands, if you wash first like Beis Shammai, they're going to become tummy machmas hakais, because the cup that's tummy, because you could have a kais that's a sheni on the table. And if you wash your hands first, those droplets are going to become a rishon and going to make your hand into a sheni. But for your concern, Beis Shammai, we're not concerned that the kli is going to become tummy if you drink first. If you drink first and then you wash your hands later, so the hands are not washed yet, and it's going to be tummy the kli, because we don't care if the outside become tummy, because you're allowed to have that on the table. That's the machlekes Beis Shammai. Now, additionally, Dava Acher says the Brisa, which is halacha too. Take it from the natilas daim suda. Another reason why we hold not like you is you can't wash your hands first and then make the bracha on the wine, because right after you wash your hands, you're supposed to eat the meal and make hamaitzi and not interrupt with the wine. So that's another reason why we disagree with you when you say, no, first drink the wine and then wash your hands. Says the Gemara, my davach, why do you have to bring another reasoning? Says the Gemara, because hachikamalu Beis Hillel b'Shammai. This is what Beis Hillel is saying to Beis Shammai. It's actually not another reasoning, as Taisa explains. Lididchu, according to you, damritu, that you say, and you say, wait a second. You hold that you're not allowed to use a vessel that the outside is tummy on the table, because the Gezrin, the Mishum Nitzait says you're concerned if you use a kli that, not like us, you hold that if you use a kli that's tummy as a sheni on the table, droplets from the inside might spill on the outside of the cup. That means to say the droplets are going to be a rishon, and then it's going to be tummy the yadayim in the middle of the meal, which you can't have yadayim that are shnias in the middle of the meal. And that says Beis Hillel, afilahachi, even so, ha'adifa, it's better to pour and drink the cup of wine first and then wash them till it's yadayim, even though you have your concern of nitzaitis, which even if we'll agree to your concern, because the tekef natilas daim suda. The halacha is that one of the halachas of the suda is right after you wash your hands, you're supposed to eat the meal, and therefore you can't have the concern, which is just a concern of droplets, uproot a halacha, which is to not interrupt with a bracha on wine between the natilas yadayim and the suda. So again, the foundation of this machlekes was regarding basically if you're allowed to use a kli shnit ma'achar b'mashkin on the table. And then that depends on if you're concerned for droplets or not. And that starts the whole conversation about the whole hishtalshlus regarding, so what's going to be the order? Are you going to make the bracha on the cup of wine first and drink it and then wash your hands? Or wash your hands and then drink the cup of wine? That was one machlekes. We continue with the next machlekes. Beis Shammai, we're not out of the woods yet in regards to these halachas of Tumatara. The next machlekes is also contingent on the same discussion. Beis Shammai say mekaneach v'chulu. So you wipe your hands and you put it on the table. And Beis Hillel says, no, you're going to put it on the couch that you're sitting on the cushion. So tell me, we'll learn the brisa that elaborates on this machlekes too. Beis Shammai, they say, okay, you wash your hands before the suda, you take the towel, and you put it on the table. Why? Beis Shammai explained. If you're going to say ala kesed, you're going to put it on the cushion, there's a concern, there's a decree. Shema, maybe the towel is a little bit wet because you dried your hands in the towel. So maybe yitmu mashkin sheba mapa. Maybe the liquids that are in the towel are going to become tamei and become a rishon l'tumah. Because remember, liquids become a rishon no matter what it touches, even the sheni. Machmasa keses, the cushion, the couch, might be a sheni l'tumah, and that might make the liquids into a rishon. Then throughout the meal, when you're wiping your hands in the towel, the hands might become a sheni l'tumah because it went and touched the liquids in the towel. The towel is touching the couch. The couch is, let's say, even the sheni. The liquids in the towel are becoming a rishon. When you wipe your hands, because your hands got dirty in the middle of the meal, it's going to become a sheni, which you now have a sheni in the middle of the meal. Now the Gemara asks the same type of questioning as it had on the previous machlekes on this opinion b'shamay. Why do you have to bring in the liquid all the time? V'netamya keses lamapa. You should just be concerned that the couch is going to directly contaminate the towel. Forget about the liquids. It's just going to contaminate the towel, and you're going to touch the towel. Why do you have to mention that the liquids in the towel are going to become tummy? Says the Gemara, no, because ain kli. You cannot have a vessel, which is, let's say, this towel that we're talking about. That's the couch cushions of the couch, which are not an avatama. They're, let's say, a rishon or a sheni. They cannot be metame kli. They cannot contaminate another vessel, and neither, as we're going to shortly say, they cannot contaminate a person according to biblical law. So therefore, we had to mention the liquids, because only the liquids could become a rishon, because the towel itself, which is a kli, cannot become tameh from a kli if it's not an avatuma. Says the Gemara, okay, but netami keshes lagaba gufe. But why didn't you say that the couch is making the person tummy? You're telling me the couch is tummy. So you make a grace to tell you, okay, if the couch is tummy, it's going to touch the liquids in the towel. Okay, it can't be metame the towel itself, because a kli that's not an avatuma cannot be metame another kli. But if you make the liquid, and then the person's hands are going to touch it. What's with the person? The person sitting on the couch. The person's going to come tummy. Says the Gemara, no, ain kli, the same idea. You cannot have a vessel, which is this couch, that's not an avatama, to be metama adam, metama a person. So therefore, it's not going to make the person or the towel tummy. It's only going to be metama the liquids, which then the person is going to touch. Additionally, as Rashi points out, the person himself is going to be careful that his hands, which could become a sheni, will not touch the couch. So even if the couch is a rishon latuma, although it cannot be metame his body, or a kli, which is the towel, because only an avatuma can metame a person or a kli, which is the towel, but it could be metame his hands, because his hands could become a sheni. On that, says Rashi, the person is going to be concerned not to touch the couch. That he could be careful about. But what we are concerned about is even if he's not going to touch the couch, but he's touching the towel during the meal, he has to wipe his hands in some type of towel, that's going to touch the liquids. That's going to be problematic. So therefore, says Bishama, you don't put it on the couch. You put it on the table. Now, Bisilam, they say not like that. They say that you're going to put the towel ala kesses. No, you're going to put it on the couch and not on the table. Why? So they explain. If you say you put it on the table, we have a different decree. Maybe the liquids in the towel that you wiped your hand on are going to become tamei machmasas shulchan because of the table. Because as the Gemara is going to shortly explain, and this is going to be the Yisayim Machlekes, but it still holds you're allowed to use a table that's a shem l'tumah, right? A table could become tamei. A table is a kli. It can become tamei from an avatuma or let's say a tamei liquid. The tamei liquid that's a rishon touch the table becomes a shem l'tumah. But it still holds you're allowed to use a table that's a sheni. So if you're going to put the wet towel on the table, the liquids are going to be touching a sheni. The liquids in the towel are going to become a rishon. Now you have food on the table. Suddenly your kugel touched that napkin, that towel, and the kugel now became tamei from a rishon, and the food item could become a sheni. The food's going to become tamei, so you can't have it on the table. Says the Gemara, the same type of question I asked on Beishame, why are you bringing in liquids? The table's a sheni. It's going to make the kugel because it's touching the table. Forget about touching the liquids in the towel. Says Gemara, no, over here we're talking about shulchan sheni. We're talking about that the table is a sheni l'tumah. The food item cannot become a shlishi because it's chulin. Chulin could at most become a sheni. The table that's a sheni, if the table is a rishon, you're right, it would make the food into a sheni just touching the table. But we're talking about a table that's a sheni. It cannot make a chulin item, which is your kugel, into a shlishi. The kugel could at most become a sheni. Ela de mashka, only through liquids. Because remember, if the table is a sheni, the liquids in the towel that's touching the table, a liquid has a unique rabbinic halacha that even when a sheni touches a liquid, the liquid becomes a rishon. So if the rishon, now the liquid becomes a rishon, if your kugel is going to touch the towel, it's touching the liquid, it's going to become a sheni. So your kugel is going to become tummy. So you can't have this towel on the table. No, the table's a sheni.
The table stays a sheni.
Right, but there's not going to be tummy your kugel can't become a shlishi. But if you have the wet towel on the table, the wetness in the towel becomes a rishon that's going to make your kugel into a sheni. So different. It says you can't have it on the table. It says, but Mike and Miller, what are they disagreeing about? They both seem to be concerns. Why does one say the couch and one say the table? It says the Gemara as follows: Bishami Saber, they hold asal ishtamish b'shulchan sheni. They don't hold it starts. They're not concerned about having it on the table. They're concerned for having it on the cushion, like we mentioned before. Not on the table. Why not? You're not allowed to have a table that's a sheni. Why not? So therefore, it's never going to start the case. Gezer, it's the decree mishum oichlei truma, because those who eat truma for sure can't have a table that's a sheni. Because if your truma food could become a shlishi, unlike chulin, if it's on the table, it's going to become tummy right away. So obviously you can't use a sheni. So because of those who eat truma, Beis Shammai don't allow you to use a table that's a sheni at all. So we're never going to run into Beis Hillel's problem about having it on the table because the table is not going to be sheni to make the liquid into rishon to make it kol into sheni. Now Beis Hillel, they disagree. They say no, you're allowed to use a table that's a sheni because actually truma is reason. We're not concerned for those who eat truma. Those who eat truma, they're very careful. They're very meticulous. They have a lot of alacrity. They're not going to run into a problem. They'll be careful. But for chulin, of course, you could have a table that's a sheni, and if you have a table that's a sheni, you can't have the towel on the table because the liquids are going to become tummy. Beis Shammai say you could have it on the table because they're not having a table that's a sheni.
It says machmas shulchan.
Right.
In Beis Hillel, the price says machmas shulchan, so it sounds like the table is the one that's giving the tumah, not the.
Yes, how? Not directly, because it's touching the liquids in the towel, which becomes a rishon, and then it contaminates your kugel. Right, the liquids in the towel. You can't have the towel on the table because the table is a sheni. It's going to make your liquids into a rishon, and it's going to make your kugel into a sheni. But Beis Shammai doesn't have that concern because the table's not a sheni. You can't have a sheni because of Eichli Truma. It has to be tar. Now, Davar Ach, another reasoning, say Beis Hillel. So that would be the same thing. Those are people on the level probably of or we don't have such a concern, whatever. Yeah, that would be. Yeah. So another interpretation says the Gemara, and this is actually the halacha. The whole halacha of washing your hands when we're going to eat our meal, our bread meal for chulin, it's not minat Torah. It's not biblical. So therefore, as the Gemara is going to explain right now, although there's a concern for, let's say, having it on the cushion, and that's why Beis Shammai says you don't put it on the cushion because your hands are going to become tummy. Beis Hillel says, as the Gemara explains, why do they have to say another reasoning that we're not concerned to have it on the cushion because, okay, your hands will become tummy when it wipes it on the towel, which became tummy from the cushion, and then tummy hands, is because Hachik Kamalu Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. What Beis Hillel is saying to Beis Shammai is follows. The Chitamer, and if you're going to say, actually this is where Taisa says that this Davach is not another interpretation, it's just boosting what they said before. If you're going to say, Maishna Gabe Eichlin, okay, wait a second. What's the difference by food items? This is Beis Hillel talking to Beis Shammai. The Chashina, that we're concerned. We said you're not allowed to have the towel on the table because, like we said, the table is going to be a sheni, make the liquids in the towel into a rishon, and it's going to make your hands the food into a sheni. Why they were concerned? But why is it regarding the hands? Okay, we don't let it on the table, but why do we let it on the cushion? If you're going to do it on the cushion, like Beis Shammai is concerned, the cushion is a sheni, making the liquids in the towel into a rishon, and then your hands that are wiping it in the towel are going to become tummy. So why are we better off that we're saying put it on the couch, not on the table? Either one is not good. Why are we picking one over the other? That's a Beis Hillel because afilachi. Even so, ha'adifa. It's better to have the towel on the cushion, on the couch, and not on the table. Meaning to be concerned that maybe it's going to happen. And this is the way Rashi learns up what Beis Hillel is telling Beis Shammai, that even though you hold that we don't use a shulchan that's a sheni, it's actually more viable, more prudent to be concerned that still maybe someone might have a table that's a sheni, and therefore not to put the towel on the table so that it doesn't make the food tameh because of the liquids that are in the towel. More than the concern of not to have the liquids in the towel becoming tameh because of the cushion, which then that would be a problem for the hands touching because it's not on the table, it's on the cushion, which is only going to be tameh your hands, because the ein natil zidam l'chul minatayr, because the whole halacha of washing hands anyway for your chulin meal, it's not biblical. So mutav she'itami yadayim. Yeah, better let the hands become tameh because of that concern. The less lu'ikam midaraisa, it doesn't have a biblical source at all, like we mentioned that someone had asked previously. The whole tamah b'yadayim is a rabbinic invention, because how could you have just hands becoming tameh and not the whole body? That's not even a biblical law. Vayitamo eichem, and not to let the food items become tameh. Your kugel, the islu ikam midaraisa. Tamas eichem is a biblical halacha. There's a biblical source. So therefore, if we had to choose between the two evils, the less poison is having the towel on the cushion. So even though, you're going to run into realms, the hands becoming tameh, but it's better than having it on the table, because since we hold you could have a sheni latuma table, it's going to make the liquids in the towel into a rishon, and it's going to contaminate the food. That's much worse than the hands, because food has a source, midaraisa, hands don't have, and then we're going to choose one over the other. That's what they were saying with daba acher, that ein atzaz dam l'chul minatayra, that's amplifying their first interpretation. So again, the Yisrael Machlekes was basically really, are you allowed to use a table that's a sheni? If we're concerned for Eichli Truma not, that's going to be what feeds this whole Machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Next Machlekes we had in the Mishnah was Beis Shammai. Remember they said, Machab de Mechul is Machlekes. Do you go ahead, like Beis Shammai said, first you clean up the table where you're eating, Or like Basil said that you wash my machreinim first and then you clean up the table. So We'll learn the Brisa that elaborates on this machlekes. But Shammai, they say, Mechavdin es habayis. First you clean up the house. Which, whether if you're sitting on the ground, you clean up the ground, or you're eating on a table, you clean up the table. And then you wash my machreinim. Why? So Shammai explains. Shematem, if you're going to say like Basil, then that first you wash my machreinim, you wash my machreinim. Again, the place can explain this is if you're washing my machreinim on the table. If you do it under the table, actually the place can say we're not concerned. But it's going to come out you're causing a loss of the food because it's spritzing my machreinim all over the table. All that food that's still there, it's going to get ruined. As some put these next line in parentheses, but it's saying the same idea. But to wash the my machreinim first, Bisham doesn't hold like you should do that. My time, what's the reason? Because the crumbs are going to get ruined. But at Basil, they say no, there's no such concern. Why not? Because if the waiter is a Talmud Chacham or he's a Talmud scholar, so Noitel Peru and Shishbim Kazais, he's going to know that you're not allowed to ruin the food. He's going to take away the crumbs that are the size of an olive. All he's going to leave is the crumbs that don't have the size of a kazayis. So therefore, Beis Hillel is not concerned. Beis Hillel says you can wash your hands first before you clean up, because anyways the waiter is going to take away any edible food that's the size of a kazayis from the table. Which the Gemara says, this actually supports Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, he says, Peru and she'im bem kazayis. If crumbs are less than a kazayis, mutala avdem miyad, then you're actually allowed to destroy it with your hands. It's not a concern, but Taisa does point out, as the halacha mentions, as the Gemara elsewhere mentioned, but it's still kashal on the yusa. It's a cause for poverty. If a person disgraces, that's why many people have the custom to eat the crumbs, because we don't want to show disrespect to the crumbs. But in basic halacha, you're allowed to destroy that which is less than the kazayis. Says the Gemara again, what's the foundation of the machlekes? So the yisod comes down to this idea. Besil Sabi, they hold asal ishtamish b'shamash ha'aretz. You're not allowed to use a waiter that's an ignoramus. Now, if you're not going to use if he's a Talmud Chacham then, so you could wash my machreinim first before you clean up, because he's going to take away the pieces that are bigger than the kazayis. B'shamay, they hold no mutla shamash b'shamash ha'aretz. You're allowed to use a waiter that's ha'aretz. If that's the case, he's not going to take away the pieces of the kazayis, and therefore it's going to get ruined when you wash my machreinim. Therefore, the halacha is to first clean up and then wash my machreinim. So again, the yisod of the machlekes really is: are you allowed to use a waiter that's an ha'aretz? And therefore, is that going to run into the concern about making the food that's at least the size of kazayis get ruined, which in halacha you're not allowed to do. Amar B'Yisrael B'Chanina Amar Hafun. He says B'Kula Pirkin, in this whole parak, which have all these machlekes in Misham B'Sil, halacha B'Sil. Barmiha, except for this case that we're discussing right now, the halacha B'Shamai, which first you clean up and then you wash my machreinim. Which again, the place can explain. Although we rule like this, it's only if it's on the table. But if you wash into the tish, you don't have this problem. But Rabbi Shloimy actually, he was Masni Ibcha. He actually learned this machlekes of B'Sham B'Sil, the exact opposite. That Beis Hillel's opinion was B'Shamai, and B'Shamai was Beis Hillel, and therefore, B'hon Nami halacha Beis Hillel. Even in this case, halacha is like Beis Hillel, because that halacha that we rule, that you first clean up and then you wash my machreinim, is going like Beis Hillel, because it's actually Beis Hillel's opinion, not B'Shamai, not the way we had it in the Mishnah. Now, continuing the next machlekes in the Mishnah, B'Shamim, they say Ner Mazn B'Chulu. We said there's machlekes in regards to the order of Havdalah. We said that everyone agrees the first thing is Boy Eish, the last thing is Havdalah. Machlekes was when you make Beruchas Hamazon, when you eat a meal together with Havdalah, what's the order? Do you first do Beruchas Hamazon then Besam, or Besam then Beruchas Hamazon? But the Gemara brings a story that's going to bring up a different interpretation of the machlekes B'Sham Yisrael. The Gemara brings the Rav Huna bar Yehuda Ikla Bei Rav. He went to Rava's house. The Chazal the Rabbi saw Rava the Barcha Besam and Bereisha. When he was making Beruchas Hamazon and Havdalah together, he first made the bracha on the Besam. Amalei said to him, wait a second, Mechti, let's see. Bisham Bishil, Ama'or Le Pligi, they both don't disagree. When you're making Havdalah, you're first supposed to say Bar Marish and then Besam. How are you making the Besam first? The Tanya, which actually it doesn't mean the Bryce, it means like we learned in our Mishnah. Bishamim, they say first is Ner, the Marish, then a Mazan, then Berchaz Mazan, then Besam, then Behavdalah. Bisilam, they say also first is Ner, and then Besam and Mazan Havdalah. The whole machlekes was regarding in the middle too. What comes first, Berchaz Mazan or Besam? But everyone agrees first comes Marish and then comes Besam. How are you making the Barim and the Besam, which is actually as our custom, as we're going to shortly see, and then Barim Marish? So Ani Rava Basay, so Rava answered after me, he says yes, because Zudibir Meir, the version of the machlekes Bisham in Bisil in our Mishnah is the version of Remeir, as this we alluded to this on Naman Aleph when we were talking about a previous machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda, he says no, actually they don't disagree ala mazin regarding the benching. Actually, that's the first one you make. You first do the benching. Val Avdallah and Avdallah Shibasayf, the Hamad B'Kosh is the last one. What's their machlekes ala ma'or ba'al besamim regarding the middle two, which is actually bar ma'esh and besamim. Shebisham, they say ala ma'or ba'achkak basam. They say first you make the bar ma'esh and then the basam. And they say besamim ba'achkak ma'or, first you make the bar basam and then you make bar ma'esh. And the Amar B'Yechon says no go on, the custom of the people that has already become kebeis Hill. I'll leave it to Rabbi Yehuda, which is like Beis Hill according to Rabbi Yehuda, which that's actually our custom. that we go ahead and actually the simon to remember this is Yibana. Yibana is Yayin, Bari min Besamim, and the Ner and Havdalah, that's Besamim, and Ner and Havdalah, that's the custom that we have, which is not like either B'Shem Yisrael in our Mishnah, because that's Rameir's version, we go like Rabbi Yehuda's version of Beisam. Here next to halacha the Mishnah that said B'Shamayim, they say we had another machlekes. Shebara b'chul machlekes was, do you say bara ma'or ha'esh, he created the light of the fire, or he creates the lights of the fire? Some Rabbi says as follows. It says bibara, if you use like the words that B'Shamayim used, bara that he created, kulam pligi, no one's going to disagree, the bara mashma, that sounds like in the past tense, which actually that's the idea we're trying to convey, because what are we talking about when we make the Bayim Esha Matzah Shabbos? We're talking about the fire that was created at the end of the 6 days of creation. Because since it was created in Matzah Shabbos, as the Gemara says in Pesachim, Daf Nundalim and Alf, that's when Adam Rishon discovered fire. So when we make a Bayim Esh, it's not talking about the fire now, it's to commemorate the fire of the first Matzah Shabbos when fire was created. So we need to say it in the past tense. So bara, according to everyone, would be the appropriate text. Ki pligi, their whole machlekes was bebayre, to use the word bayre. Beishamay, they hold, no, bayre is the asalim, it means that he's going to create, meaning it's in the present tense. That's not appropriate over here because we're not talking about this fire, we're talking about the fire that's created in Sheshim Bereshis. So therefore you cannot say bayre. Beisol Sabri, they hold no, bayre nami, even that word bayre is the bara mashma, also connotes of the past tense. Now Taisa asks, so even though we rule like Basil, that bayre also means past tense, but why wouldn't you say a terminology that goes according to everyone, that bara? Says Taisa is going to shortly see, because since we bring psukim of bayre that refer to the past tense, what God created, so therefore we also use the words of bayre, even though bara according to everyone would mean the appropriate text. But first the Gemara asks Moshe Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asked on Rava, according to what he said, that we have a pasuk in Yeshaya. Rava said, according to Beishamai, that bayre means present tense. You can't use bayre according to Beishamai, because only bara means past tense. Bayre means present. Of that, as the Gemara, Rav Yosef asked, to the contrary, you see clearly, even Beishamai has to agree, that bayre means past tense. Because you have a pasuk in Yeshaya that says, Yitzhar, God forms light, uvayri cheshech, and he creates darkness. Now, he's not creating darkness, he created in Sheshim Bereshis. So you have a pasuk in Amos that says, Yitzhar, he forms mountains, uvayri ruch, and he creates wind. That was in Sheshim Bereshis. You have a pasuk in Yeshaya that says, Bari Hashemayim, he creates heavens, v'noteim, and he stretches them out. Those are all words of bari, and they're all referring to past tense. How could you say, Beishamai hold, you have to say bara, not bari? Rather, he disagrees, and he says, Babara ubayri. Actually, both words, bara and bari, kulam pligi, no one's going to disagree, the bara mashma, that they both mean past tense. Ki pligi, you're right, that wasn't the machlekes Beishamai Sil. Their whole machlekes was, b'ma'ar uma'ire. Do you say ma'ir ha'esh or ma'ire ha'esh? The Beishamai, they hold chad nahari ikbenura. In the fire, there's only really one light. So you say the singular of ma'or. They hold no tu b'nahari ikbenura. There's many lights in the fire. Therefore, you're going to say ma'ore, because in the flame you have a red color, you have a white color, you have a yellow color, and therefore you're going to say ma'ore. And Tanamach, similar in the Bryce, only said B'Shamai. There's many illuminations in the light of the fire, and therefore you may say ma'ore and not ma'or, which is like the way we rule, which is the halacha. Now, we're doing the halacha of the Mishnah, that once we brought in the Havdalah candle and the Besamim, so we discussed halachas relating to that. The Mishnah says, we don't make the bracha on the Neir and the Besamim of a non-Jew. So the Gemara wonders, Bishlam in there, understand regarding their candle, Mishum Dolei Shabbos, as we're going to shortly explain, that it didn't rest from a prohibited malacha, because the non-Jew, he lit his candle on Shabbos, and the Brisa says, if you have a candle that was not Shabbos, didn't rest, as the halacha is, you're not allowed to make a bracha on such a candle, because a sin was done with it, because the malacha was done with it. El besamim my time alay, which the halacha is, you're not allowed to use the besamim of a non-Jew. Why not? So maybe this is to my specific case. Amar Rab, it's the name of Rab. Hacha b'mesibas ibdi kachav maskin. Here we're talking about at a banquet of non-Jews, which they're sitting down to eat for a student. And the reason why it's forbidden is because this is actually the halacha. We could assume that any festive meal of the non-Jews, of the idol worshippers, is l'avodah zarah, is t'avodah zarah, and therefore you cannot use the besam of avodah zarah. So therefore you can't use the besam of a non-Jew. So the Gemara says, how could you say that? But the next case in the Mishnah says, you cannot make the bracha on Matzah Shabbos. Not on the candle, not on the besam and the fragrant spice of idolatry. Obviously the first case regarding the non-Jew, because then it would be redundant. It's obviously a different case and a different halacha. So Amar B'chanim Masuri says, no, matam kam, and the Mishnah is coming to explain. Matam, what's the reason that you cannot make the bracha loyal and never b'sam shalakam, not on the candle, not on some of a non-Jew, is mipnei shestam mesib the. It's explaining. It's because generally the banquet of the non-Jews, it's for idolatry, therefore you cannot use their ner and their b'samim, because it's going to be coming from a desire. Now, Tamal in the Bryce, which clarifies, and it's the last halacha we're going to discuss, that we mentioned regarding the reason why you cannot use the ner of a non-Jew, is because this halacha, Ursha Shabbos, if you have a flame that has rested, that you know malacha was done with it on Shabbos, so mavarchem lav. That you can make a bracha Moira Eish on Matzah Shabbos. V'shalei Shabbos, if it didn't rest, im mavarchem lav, you cannot make the bracha on this. So the Gemara says, my Shabbos and my Loi Shabbos, what does it mean it didn't rest? As the Gemara continues at the top of the Gimel and Aleph. If you say Loi Shabbos machmas malacha, that it didn't rest because of work was done with it, meaning afilim malacha that teira, even if it was a permitted malacha. For example, let's say there was a sick person or a woman that gave birth. The halacha is you're allowed to light a candle for them on Shabbos. And still you're telling me if a malacha was done with it, you're not allowed to make the bracha mari'esh on it. But we're telling you in the Brisa not like that. It says ur shel chaya. Chaya is a terminology of a woman that gave birth. If you have a fire that was used to light for a woman that gave birth, or shel chayla, or for a sick person, halacha is actually in this halacha mavarchem lav, you're allowed to make mari'esh on that. So Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak says, no, my Shabbos, what do we mean that it has to rest? Shabbos machmas malechas aver, means to say that it rested from having been a malacha done with it that was done in sin. Which means to say that even a guy who's not an Avera, let's say in that way, but you can't have that a candle was lit on Shabbos in a non-permitted way for a Jew. And Tanamach is similar in the Brisa. If you have a shashas, which is a lantern, shahisa delekes valechas, if it was lit from Erev Shabbos, and it was lighting in the Jew's house, kolayim kuli the whole day of Shabbos, the halach is l'matzah Shabbos mavarchem la. On Matzah Shabbos, you're allowed to make the bar me'esh on it because no Avera was done with this candle because it wasn't lit on Shabbos. And therefore, the only problem is, if it was not Shabbos from a malacha that was the isura of an Aveira, that type of a candle was done by the non-Jew on Shabbos, therefore you cannot use his candle to make the Bar Me'esh on Matzah Shabbos. Some ideas we spoke about in today's Daf and Beruchas Daf and Beis. We continued on the opinion from the previous Daf, from the first Machlokes in Beis Shammai and Basil. That Basil said, first you make the Bar Priyagovan and then you make the Mekadesh HaShabbos. Beis Shammai said, no, first you make the Bercha of Berchas HaYom, that Kiddush HaYom is better, and then you make the Bar Priyagovan. On that, the Gemara asked a question from a Brisa. Now, before we ask the question, the Gemara first had to prove that Brisa is obviously like Beis Shammai. Why is it like Beis Shammai? Because in that Brisa it said that first you make the Bar Me'esh and then Besamim. Now, that is Beis Shammai according to Rabbi Yehuda. How do we know it's Rabbi Yehuda's version? Maybe it's Beis Hill in our Mishnah, who also says that you make Bar Me'esh and then Besamim. No, because in that Brisa it says that the first bracha when you're putting it together with benching is Berchas HaMazon first. Our Mishnah's version of Remeir doesn't hold you make Berchas HaMazon first. So obviously, the Mishnah is going, this Brisa is going like Rabbi Yehuda's version, which you make Berchas HaMazon first. So Rabbi Yehuda's version. Rabbi Yehuda's version, Machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hill holds, you first make Besamim, and then Bar Me'esh. If this Brisa is saying you make Bar Me'esh and then Besamim, it's obviously like Beis Shammai. And if it's like Beis Shammai, the difficulty is this Brisa says, when you make Havdalah, first you make the Bar Priyagovan, and then Havdalah, which is Kiddush HaYom. Didn't you say Kiddush HaYom comes before the bracha on the wine? Says the Gemara, no. Generally, by Kedushas HaYom, when you're starting Shabbos, when you're making Kiddush, Iyula Yom Makdina, we want to do the sanctity of Shabbos first. So therefore, Beis Shammai holds you first make Mekadesh Shabbos and you make it by Priyagovan. But by Havdalah, although that's also called Kiddush HaYom, Afuka Yom Machrinim, we want to delay it as much as possible. You're going to make, even according to Beis Shammai, the by Priyagovan, and then you're going to make the Hamad Mekadesh L'Chayil only at the end. But then we asked parenthetically another question on this Brisa. You said this Brisa is like Beis Shammai. The problem is, this Brisa was telling you, the Mishalshan HaKais b'Matzah Shabbos and Berchas HaMazon. It said, what do you do if you come in Matzah Shabbos, said the Brisa? Amongst all its halachas, it said, you're coming home, you have to make Havdalah, and you have to have your meal at night. Now, the Brisa is assuming, which is Beis Shammai, that, okay, you have to make a Kaishal Bracha on the Berchas HaMazon. So what do? You'll do it all together. And what's the order? So the Brisa explains what the order is. Wait a second, that's Beis Shammai? Beis Shammai in our Mishnah said that when you have a cup of wine, the last machlokes you had with Beis Hill was if you have a cup of wine all the way at the end of the meal, you can drink it. You don't have to wait for Berchas HaMazon. That's Beis Shammai, but Beis Shammai says that you need a kosher bracha. That contradicts Beis Shammai in the Brisa. So the Gemara answered no. Specific case. In our Mishnah, it's talking about he made a bracha, but the cup is more than the revius. He makes a bracha, he pours out a little into his hand, so it doesn't make it pogum, and you also a tum, and you'll have enough for the kosher bracha. So it's not a contradiction. Yeah, Beis Shammai needs a kosher bracha. Our Mishnah says with the one cup, you can make a bracha before benching. Yeah, you can pour off a little, drink from your hand, and that's it. And then you'll have, but the Gemara says ultimately no, it's a machlokes tanoim. Because we have a clear brisa from Reb Chia that says, according to Beis Shammai's opinion, that you could drink it all up before Berchas HaMazon, and therefore it's a machlokes tanoim according to Beis Shammai. Do you need a kosher bracha on Berchas HaMazon or not? Then went to the next machlokes Beis Shammai Sil. Which one comes first? Do you make the bracha like in Talmudic times when they would drink a cup of wine before the meal? Do you drink that first and then wash your hands? Or do you first wash your hands for the meal, drink the cup of wine, and then make your hamaitzi? Lamais, at the end of the day, the start of the machlekes is, are you allowed to use a kli, shenitmu achayv b'mashkin, which we said many unique halachas about that the outside became tamei from a liquid, which then the kli is only tummy on the outside, are you allowed to use such a kli on the table or not? Beis Shammai says you're not allowed to. Why not? If you're going to use such a kli, when you're using it during the meal, some of the wine in the inside might drip on the outside of the kli. If that happens, guess what happens? The liquid now becomes a rishon because it touched the outside of the kli, which is a sheni. Now when your hands are touching the liquid, your hands are becoming a sheni. Why do we wash netilas down at the beginning of the meal? Because you now have hands that are a sheni by the meal. Why? Because of those who eat truma, and therefore we made by uchlachulun too. So of course you can't have such a kli by the table because it can make the liquids, they make your hands tummy. Now, Beis Hillel disagree with that. They said, no, we're not concerned for that. They're not concerned for droplets coming out. Now, moreover, Beis Shammai say, if you're going to do like Beis Hillel, that you're going to first drink the cup, and then you're going to wash your hands, what's going to happen? Your hands are tummy. You didn't wash your hands yet. Your hands are going to touch the liquids on the outside of the kli, making the liquids into a rishon. It's going to make the kli into a sheni. You're not allowed to have a kli that's a sheni on the table. So therefore, Beis Shammai say you have to first wash your hands and then drink the cup. Now, Beis Hillel disagree. They say, no, you're allowed to have a kli, shenit machar b'mashkin, on the table. Because like we said, they're not concerned for droplets. Oh, if you're allowed to have such a kli, so therefore, no, you have to drink the cup of wine first before you wash your hands. Why? Because if you wash your hands first, maybe they're not totally dry. If it's not totally dry, remember, you're allowed to have, according to Beis Hillel, a kli shenit machar b'mashkin on the table. Your hands, you washed first, you're about to drink. Your hands are wet. It's not totally dry, maybe. And you're touching the kli, guess what happens? The droplets on your hand become a rishon, and your hand becomes a sheni. What do you accomplish by washing your hands? Your hands are back a sheni. So therefore, Beis Hillel says, no, you don't wash your hands first. You first drink the cup of wine, then you wash your hands, then you eat the meal. Now, Beis Hillel additionally said to Beis Shammai, even if we would be concerned for your concern, still we would say like we say that you drink the cup of wine and then you wash because take it in the netilas yadayim suda. Right after you wash your hands, you're supposed to have the meal, and therefore, even with your concern of nitzaitis, even if we agree to you should first drink and then wash your hands and then eat the meal right away. They went to the next machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. What do you do with the towel? Do you put it on the table or do you put it on the keses, on the cushion? Ultimately, the Yisrael machlekes is: are you allowed to use a table that's a sheni latuma? What's the concern? For eichlei truma. Beis Shammai say you're not allowed to because of those who eat truma. If you're eating truma, if you eat a table that's a sheni, it's going to make your truma directly into a shlishi. Truma can become a shlishi. So no one's allowed to use a table that's a sheni because then those who eat truma might use a sheni. Now, so therefore, you put the towel on the table because what's the problem? The table's not a sheni. It's not going to make any. It's at most, let's say, a shlishi or it's tar. So it's not going to make your liquids into tummy at all. Now, whereas if you put it on the cushion could be a sheni. It's going to make the liquids in your towel into a rishon, and then guess what? Middle of the meal, when you're wiping your hands became a sheni. You're going to be in that pickle. So therefore, you put it on the table. Beis Hillel says, no, you're allowed to have a shulchan that's a sheni. So therefore, because they're not concerned, because oichlei truma az reason hein. So therefore, you have to put on the cushion. Why on the cushion? The cushion you're going to run to Beis Shammai's concerned that your hands are going to become tummy. Yeah, but hands, there's no biblical source even for tumas yadayim. We'd rather have that. If you're going to put it on the table, guess what's going to happen? The tables, according to Beis Hillel, is allowed to be a sheni. The liquids in the towel are going to become a rishon, and your kugel is going to become a sheni. That has ikam and atav. We don't want that having tummy. And therefore, Beis Hillel says you put it on the cushion and not on the table. Then we went to the next machlekes. Which one's first? Do you clean up the table first or my machrena first? Beis Shammai says, the Yisrael machlekes here is: are you allowed to use a waiter that's amaretz? Beis Shammai says you're allowed to. So of course you have to clean up first. Because if you can do my machrena first, the amaretz, he doesn't know, he doesn't speak English. He doesn't even know what you want from him. He doesn't understand halacha. So there's going to be pieces that are the size of a gedais. You're washing my machrena, everything's getting ruined. We don't want hefsed eichlin. So therefore you have to clean up first. Beis Hillel says you're not allowed to use an amaretz. So the waiter is a Talmid Chacham. He knows that you can't have kazeis, and he's going to take it off the table. So even though you didn't clean up yet, you'll wash my machrayim, and the piece less than kazeis can get ruined. So there's no problem. Then we went to the next machlekes regarding the order of Havdalah in the Mishnah, which you brought a machlekes that actually says the machlekes is different, and the machlekes is actually if besamim or the Havdalah candle is first, and we obviously rule that we first make barim besamim and then barim eish. Another machlekes we had in the Mishnah was: do you say ma'or or ma'ori? Not bora or bayr, because we showed that both bora and bayr both mean past tense. Rather, do you say like b'shami ma'or, which is singular because there's one light in the color of the flame, or like Basil, which we ruled that there's many different colors: red, yellow, white in that of the flame. And the last halacha we learned about was the Mishnah says that the candle of a non-Jew is forbidden. Why? Because it didn't rest from an Issa Malacha. And additionally, their besamim is forbidden because we could assume that generally their meal is used for Avodah Zarah. And just like the Mishnah says, you're not allowed to use the besam and the Havdalah candle from a non-Jew because of idolatry. So therefore, you're not allowed to use that from the Mesiba of Avodah Zarah, of a non-Jew because it's going to be of Avodah Zarah, and their candle is because it wasn't Shabbos Malacha on Shabbos. Thank you to Anytime for hosting us.